What's going on? Welcome back to Truth Wizard. Welcome to Truth Wizard. Either way, it is good to have you. Good to be here. Today, I've got more TikToks that I found that I think are pretty cool, pretty interesting. There's not any particular subject that we're dialed in on. It's just a little bit of a variety. So hopefully you are in the mood for a variety of some TikToks today. And if you're not, let me just be so bold to say, get over it. Get in the mood for the variety, because variety is the spice of life. Well, that's what we've been told. That's I stole that. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, please and thank you. And we are going to go ahead and get into it.
This creepy video is going viral all over the internet. At first, it looks like just an ordinary crow. But keep watching till the end, because what happens next will seriously mess with your head.
So the Oculus Enhanced Night Vision Goggle TAC Binocular, also known as the ENVG TAC Bravo, is like the future of night vision. The ENVG TAC B's dual tubes feature high-definition white phosphor and overlaid fused thermal technology, and you can see it like outlines everything in that kind of orange hue, so you can see objects.
Pretty cool,
Not only
man.
can you see at night because you got the white phosphor, but you're also able to see the outline of things. Like you can see the outline of the parachutes from these paratroopers that are parachuting in. And then you can also see their bodies outlined. Same thing when you're looking at any other stuff. Like I've seen videos of folks looking at artillery pieces. It shows the full outline of that, vehicles, things like that. The ENVG Bravo.
Dude, if that's like legit footage, like real footage, or at least simulated footage, but it really is going to look like that, that's pretty sick. And I wonder how well they could use that to spot UFOs. And I wonder if they've had this for a while to spot UFOs. Probably. I'm gonna assume probably, but I don't know. But that's pretty awesome.
Was made by L3 Harris, which recently received a $256 million order from the U.S. Army. Apparently, they're planning on spending $1 billion over the next 10 years on these things. As of April, L3 Harris had delivered more than 13,000.
I'm sure you do. We subsidize your entire existence. Why should you get food stamps?
Well, I don't get a lot of them.
I accept the assistance for your kid because
it's to feed my kid.
Shut the up. I accept the assistance for your kid in terms of the time you have to take them to the, hospital or whatever, all that stuff, because you have to take time away from work. So it makes sense that has helped. Why the fuck should you get food stamps? Because you've chosen to follow a passion instead of go get a job. Like the rest of the moms out there that take care of their kids. That is disgusting.
What
the fuck is wrong?
Not that I don't want to work. I do.
And all benefits. I'm done. I'm done. But it's just like, what the every single person that has had food stamps on the show does not deserve it.
Okay. Well, that's your opinion.
No, it's not my opinion. You've chosen to follow a hobby.
I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with her following a hobby to try to make money at it. Okay. I don't think so anyway. And we shouldn't be punishing people for doing that. But at some point, maybe you got to start to pivot and, work part-time at least, and then focus on the hobby and kind of figure it out. But you also have a kid. She has a child, so that complicates things. In this clip, there's clearly no context. But I got to say, though, like, if you have a kid, that's not when it's okay to follow hobbies. And you should have thought about that before you had the kid. If you wanted to follow a hobby, you maybe should have been more, proactive in preventions from having the kid in the first place. And if you were going to keep the child, which is fine, but you still couldn't afford to live and afford to feed the kid, then maybe the kid has to go up for adoption. Because maybe it's not fair that you chose to do things, in life, have a kid, bring this child in to this earth realm, whatever, without a say that we're aware of. But this person is getting born into a single mom situation that's a struggling single mom. And I just don't think that's very fair. It's very selfish, and it's not fair to the kid. The kid's not asking for that. You need to be a little more thoughtful and less selfish. That's my opinion about that anyway. I know it's probably unpopular, and this day and age, everyone's always pushing for kids. I've been told before that I was selfish because I didn't want to have kids. I don't even know what that means. Like, how can you tell another person that they're selfish for not wanting to have kids? Like, if that's not a brainwashed, stupid statement to make, I don't know what is. And there was a clip from another episode that I did, another video, where I highlighted a guy who has his own show on the YouTubes, and he was basically saying that, it's the new trend is people not wanting to have kids and wanting to travel and just kind of, have a life that doesn't revolve around raising another person. They wanted to live and truly actually live, not just survive and work and go home and go to sleep and go to work and go back home and go to sleep and go back to work. They wanted to actually live and experience things. And he was basically saying that, a loose quote, paraphrasing, just keep taking the easy way out and not doing things that we've known that makes us, I guess, fulfilled at this point. I'm not really sure, but why is it that if you don't want to have kids, people want to kind of shame you into that? Like, that's also kind of ridiculous. But then if you choose to have kids, now all of a sudden I've got to pay for you to have your kids when you had no business having them because you can't afford them. Like, the whole thing is just absolutely, completely screwed up. It's insane. As usual, I'm on a rant here. We're gonna continue.
Instead of get a job.
I tried to make it a career, and I've
exactly. You tried to make your business work. So we decided to.
Well, it did. It just.
The self-awareness of people who have low EQ is always astounding to me. And it usually comes about anytime that I step outside of my little echo chamber of people who like to listen to the bullshit that I spew. This is to say that people don't hear what you say. They hear what they think you said, which is very different.
Yeah.
And if you're touching on a subject that is very sensitive to them and it's not resonating with them the way that they would want to, they won't just think about what it is that you're saying or whatever it is that they're understanding of you. They will make the assumption of you as a whole, because if you don't align with them on this one thing that they didn't understand correctly, then they don't align with you on anything at all.
In 1929,
and that's how you stay stupid. I mean, truly, that's really, truly how you stay stupid. When you can't listen to anyone about anything that challenges your perspectives or challenges the narrative that you choose to follow because that narrative fits your perspectives. Living within an echo chamber is very, very dangerous. And I know this because I was that person for a very, very, very long time in life. I unfortunately was that person that would hang out with people I didn't want to hang out with. But I was there, I was doing it. I would go to a bar and do it because I had something to do. And I mean, I didn't dislike these people. I mean, some of them I did. Some of them were just kind of just very average, very generic people that are doing extraordinarily average and generic things, 15-ish years later or so, whatever timeline that was. But the point is, I did that. I lived that path. I had the idea of, You know, I was that person that if you saw somebody who was doing well in life, successful, a lot of money, they were automatically the enemy somehow because they're buying into the system, man. And yeah, the government, man, they're out to get us, man. You're selling out, man. Like that sellout excuse, that bullshit. That's bullshit. That's what people say. That's what I said, because I either thought that I would never be able to make that kind of money. I thought that I could not make that X amount of money, or I couldn't achieve and do certain things. So I was either jealous or just terrified of doing it, or let others around me influence me way too much and bought into their bullshit. And then at some point, hopefully you realize, like I did, that is not a good mindset. That is not a correct mindset. It is not a healthy mindset. It's just not. So, yeah, you gotta be able to listen to people, and you have to listen to what they're saying, not just the surface level, excuse me, and not just like whenever I say, or he or she, whoever says a few things you don't like and you disagree with, great. That's life. Grow the fuck up. That's life. We are not all going to agree on everything. And even like things that you should be doing are things you probably don't want to do. The same goes for me. There are things that I should be doing to be more successful, or I could be more successful if I did XYZ things. Some of them I'm okay with doing. Some of them, man, like for whatever reason, whether it's just purely mental or a mix of all kind of things, you have a hard time doing it, or you don't want to do it. It just makes you uncomfortable, or you're terrified for a variety of reasons of the failure of that. And you have to get over that. And that is said so many times. And there are so many great videos on the interwebs that talk about this kind of stuff. And it's 100% true. Like all of those are so true. They seem so cliche and cheesy. And I know that they can be presented in a way that seems cliche and cheesy, but let me tell you, it is so true. And that guy, I've got a few of his videos, and he's in another video I've done. He's going to be probably in a lot of videos to come, because I think he's great. I think he's got some very good talking points. And he's right, man. You gotta listen to people and not be so quick to judge and label them a certain way just because they say something that just challenges your perspective, unless you want to stay in the exact same position you are in now and you want to stay stupid. Then keep doing exactly that, because you're on the right path.
Zeppelin embarked on a famous 5,000-mile long trip in a record-breaking 81 hours. Let's take a tour of its beautiful interior on its leg to Rio.
Continuing down the West African coast on our 5,000-mile trip to Rio, we fly close to a large liner and obtain magnificent views of her. We wonder what the passengers are thinking about with their air rival up above. How they must envy our speed as we rapidly overtake them. Life on board the Zeppelin passes swiftly and smoothly. We play cards and other games and watch the miles slip rapidly by.
This is crazy, man.
In the distance, we get a brief view of Cape Verde, but our 80 miles an hour gait soon leaves Africa behind.
Is it just me, or do they not really talk about Zeppelins much? Like, I don't remember seeing photos or videos or really anything that's Zeppelin related when I was a kid, like in school. And sure, I might have learned something or thought I had learned something and did not retain it. And it did happen. And they just say, well, you just didn't really actually absorb the knowledge, buddy. That's on you. It was taught. You did learn a little something about it. Fine, if that's the case. But I don't really remember hearing and seeing much about this. And in a lot of shows, even just, cable television shows that go over history and this, that, and the other, like, you don't see a lot of this. I see a lot of stuff covering wars over and over and over again, the Great Depression over and over and over again. This is pretty intriguing, though. And there was a video that had a photo of a Zeppelin that seemingly had cables attached to what looked to be a, not a spire, but it was a, oh gosh, now I can't think of the word, a very large piece of a structure that goes onto a building. It was a column of some sort. I don't know, something very large. Seemingly that was the how they built some of these old world buildings that were massive, these huge cathedrals. They used the Zeppelins to hoist these huge pieces up in the air. Of course, they didn't have cranes back then, or we haven't seen they had giant cranes back then to do all this. So how did they do it? And that seems to be a pretty viable answer. But this is very intriguing, these Zeppelins.
In the 110-ton Zepp are rest rooms and cabins, cozy and comfortable.
So they had cabins.
And a particularly fine navigating room from which the whole ship is controlled. Writing and games soon bring us to the end of a perfect day, during which we have covered over 1,500 miles. The next morning, we were early astir, and shortly after breakfast was finished, we managed to get some unique shots of the interior of the hull of the Sky Giant, accompanying the captain on his tour of the airship. Great size and power of the ship. Views which will repay all the trouble of getting them. But it isn't such an easy job getting in and out of the cars, especially with a camera, as we very quickly found out. And so we glide along, rolling down to Rio across the vast Atlantic.
This is the landing
That's
of the
wild.
Graf Zeppelin airship in Los Angeles. If you look real closely here, you can see the fighters flying in formation from the hangar of the Zeppelin. Amazing how something so big can move so quickly. What amazes me also is the crowds that these things gathered. Thousands gathered around just to see a glimpse of this. I don't blame them. I would definitely be one of those in that crowd. Be amazing to see something that massive in the sky just floating through with ease. And of course, with the one false flag, the future of air travel was forever altered. Question everything, friends. You are absolutely right. One of the main reasons for whiting out the skies in these old photos is because these airships were everywhere. Long before the Wright brothers came along, in which the narrative tells us is the first in flight. And again, because of how much we do see them, the glimpses that are allowed in the past, the infrastructure that was already there for them, like the mooring stations. I believe they went back a lot further than even the narrative admits to them being there. Like this painting from 1855, entitled A Bird's Eye View of New York City. Look at the airship on the top of this painting. And when you see the photos of these airships docked at these amazing mooring stations, and even on boats, they look old and weathered and well established. Like technology and infrastructure that's already been there for a long time. The Empire State Building even had a mooring station on top of it. though they said it never was used. And when you could set a mooring station up in any field, any boat, any skyscraper, anywhere could be an airport, even the most remote regions. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
That's why they keep you constantly distracted with external things, because they don't want you to know that your body is the most advanced technology on the earth, and that your mind is in charge of 50 trillion cells that religiously obey every thought command that you project. You are literally in charge of a universe inside of you, but they want you to think rocket ships and iPhones are very advanced technology. But look at yourself. No one can replicate the human body. That's why they placed an eye.
If you haven't done it, do me a favor. Go back and watch the previous video, or at least two. And I mentioned that in those videos. Why is it that everything that we're told, the official narrative about space, the universe, our existence, being a human in this realm we call Earth that we live in, everything has to do, all their explanations have to do with us being insignificant. We just don't matter. We're just little tiny blips on the radar and the whole spectrum. And wow, you're just a random, imagine a beach and the whole beach, and you're just the one random grain of sand, just a speck of dust. Like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? And meanwhile, when you present this type of dialogue and information, this is considered the demonic, or rather it's been brainwashed that this is demonic, or there's some kind of evil sorcery behind this, man. Guys and gals, you have been lied to. Why? Like, I just don't understand, like, how do we acknowledge that, like, self-esteem is a problem, okay, for a lot of people? And we try to tell people, coach people into having a good sense of self-worth and self-esteem in life for a lot of different reasons. And we'll do this, and we'll try to help our friends and family with that issue, that subject matter. Yet you'll have a scientist on TV simultaneously saying how none of us matter. This is all insignificant specks of dust in the cosmos. And like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, how have we not realized that that is a narrative for a reason to devalue you as a human being, to make you feel insignificant and worthless? Because yes, you do have more abilities and power, even just mentally. I know it sounds crazy, but I really do believe that. I really, really do believe it. And I think that's why a lot of old teachings have been quite literally demonized and sold as satanic and evil, because it would give you an ability or bring you to a gateway to start unlocking your potential as a human in this realm that we live in. That's just my belief. It is an opinion. It's not a fact. I can't prove that, and I understand it. But I am done listening to narratives from people that endorse the system. I am trying to play the game enough to not drown, or play the game enough that at some point I can, beat the system and for my life, like in my terms, right? But I just do not buy for a second that, as I've said in multiple previous videos now, if we are having open discussions and dialogue that the governments internationally are a child-eating, evil satanic ring of people, why am I going to listen to narratives that they help push? Hello? I mean, that's not that hard. Not that hard to figure out.
In a triangle. Not because it represents Satan or Lucifer, but because it represents the three ways the soul expresses its energy, through thought, emotion, and action: the brain, the heart, and the physical body. If you think randomly, it will lead to random emotions and actions. You need to stay conscious of your thoughts, emotions, and actions in order to create a reality that you want. That's why there is an eye in the middle. The eye is open, representing staying aware.
But like so many things, let's assume that what this guy's saying is true, okay? But what have they done with this symbol? They've taken this symbol and they hijacked it. And now that symbol means the Illuminati. It basically represents evil entities within the government. Or maybe they hijacked it for a reason, so you wouldn't learn and you wouldn't give much thought to its origins, its real, true meaning. Surely that makes sense. Like, somebody has to hear these words and be like, yo, yes, sir, I agree with you. What I'm saying, I don't think is like completely out of bounds.
Staying aware of your thoughts, emotions, and actions is what leads to conscious creation. Most people act, think, and feel randomly, and randomly create their reality, and wonder why there is so much chaos. These are your three powers that you hold 100% control over. If you try and control anything else but these three powers, you are breaking natural law. And that's how they trap your soul in reincarnation. Not because someone made you reincarnate, but because you reincarnate yourself. Before you die, you must detach yourself from all physical desires, because when your body dies, you are stripped of the physical reality, and you are left with the internal, with your thoughts, desires, programs, addictions. If you do not release these traumas, addictions, and desires of the material world, then you will carry them over into the spiritual plane. These desires and addictions cannot be fulfilled in a spiritual plane. Therefore, your consciousness is not ready to progress on towards higher dimensions. Therefore, you manifest yourself because you desire the physical things back into the 3D reality. You have to let go and make your heart as light as a feather. The easiest way to prepare yourself for life after death is by...
It's by what?
Jesus never died on a cross. It's a symbolic story. Jesus took 5 wounds on the cross, and then he ascended to heaven. The 5 wounds represent the 5 senses. These are the 5 ways the soul interacts with matter. In order to reach your higher consciousness, you have to sacrifice the desire of the 5 senses, detaching from the material world, so that we can ascend to our higher consciousness. To prove this, the Bible says the flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God in Corinthians. The body cannot enter heaven, which means your emotion, your mind, and spirit can, which proves heaven is a state of consciousness now. This is why Jesus says take no thought 5 times in Matthew. Take no thought is meditation. 5 to turn off the 5 senses so that we can connect with the higher consciousness. The word Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving Earth. The whole Bible is an allegorical spiritual ascension toolbook. This book will help you understand this.
Just the double steak burger.
And then could I do the original double steak burger with cheese? Am I allowed to try?
Yes. No, you don't need my permission to get that.
Okay, so I'll do the fry. Wait, am I allowed?
That's funny, man. I worked in service industry for a long time, and of course waited tables for a large portion of that when I was younger. And I still joke about it today. And even when I was very young, I thought it was just super weird, man. Couples would come in and you go to the table like, hey, you guys ready to order? And like, oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. What are you having? And sometimes the guys went first, whatever, you know, ladies first, but okay, whatever. I'm going to get the, steak and shrimp, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. And then instead of the girl ordering, the guy says, she'll have, whoa. She'll have, like, did you ask her? Are you sure she wants this? That happened. I swear that happened like a lot, like way more than you would think. And I don't know if the dudes thought that they were being, sweet, like ordering for his girlfriend, And I could see that being a thing that he really thought he was doing something nice. Or maybe there were conversations I was not around for at the table when she was indecisive and he says, you know what? I'm going to order for you. Let's just stop right here. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to surprise you. I'm just going to order for you. All right, cool. Sounds good. Thanks. And maybe that's why he said she'll have, but I don't know, man. It was kind of weird. Like some of these people too, by the way, were the kind of couples that sat on the same side. That always kind of weirds me out. It's just kind of odd. You sit at a booth, you're at a booth, and both of you were sitting on the same side of the booth, side by side. Like that's just kind of strange. Like sit across from the table and have some eye contact and talk and interact with each other. Well, used to you could talk and interact because now you have a phone in your face no matter what side of the table you're on. Anyway, that was a real thing though. So that's kind of funny to me that she pranked him by asking if she could order fries. That was really funny. I enjoyed it. But that's a real thing, mostly on the guy side. She'll have. Like, bro, you don't know what she's going to have? Shut up, man. Stupid. Oh, boy. Oh, my God.
Do you have any questions before we jump? We're just going to go over some numbers and then we'll get you back on the phone. Yes.
Nope. Sorry, that's gotta hurt. The thud. Donk. Oh my God, dude. That's ridiculous. I'm still brewing over that poor girl, and I need to read this. Surprising. Another awful manager. I never would have guessed.
Questions for me. It's been a good month. I've enjoyed all of it. It's been awesome.
Yeah, dude, I will say you're definitely leading the pack in numbers. But again, like, I know that you're probably not here to like, be the top. It's like, let's do more than the top. So let's be here and kind of constructively figure out what we can do.
Yep. I think our filtering system could change a little bit. I feel like the leads are coming out a little drier than.
I have zero reason to think this is fake, but this is the problem with corporate America. And there are plenty of videos online now talking about this. And to that, I want to say welcome. Because I've been bitching about this for a very long time. I don't understand how in the hell, dude, you can work for a company and obviously it depends on the product, but let's just say that $500,000 in sales is like, wow, holy shit. He did what? She did what? You achieve that. And while you're still celebrating your milestone, possibly record-setting achievement, GM is already telling you, you got to do better. Well, how can we beat this? Now, and I get it. I get the challenge for yourself, challenging yourself to get yourself in better and higher places, even if it's just for yourself. Like you should be doing that in your personal life, giving yourself challenges. If you achieve one thing, let's go for another. But this is just the toxic, as he said in the title, corporate America bullshit. It is never good enough. No matter what you do, it will never be good enough. And you are 100% disposable. And of course, we already know they want your unconditional loyalty and servitude. And you better be really, really, really grateful that they gave you this opportunity to be their slave. My God, you better be real fortunate for that. And the minute you're not very fortunate to be their slave, and the minute that you put your personal mental health, your personal physical health, your personal life ahead of or equal to this ridiculous job, is the minute they will let you go in the blink of an eye. But you have to remain ever so loyal. They can fuck right off.
I would hope. They're supposed to be warm at least, and if the filtering changes just a little bit, it would cut down a lot of time, and we could actually have a lot more sales.
Yeah, okay. There it is again.
There's what again? Cool. I think that's it on me. How about you? Like, what do you think? Yeah. I mean, man, I'm just enjoying shit. I got good things outside of work, good things at work. Oh yeah, it's a good thing.
There ain't no.
Y'all want to
This
see
ain't
people
real.
happy, don't you guys?
This ain't real.
It's a healthy lifestyle. You know, I got nothing to be unhappy about.
Yes, we want you to be happy, of course, of course. But the one thing that kind of is a precursor to everything that we do here, we lead by example.
Yeah.
Right? As you can see, when we have conversations, dude, I'm very like in the zone, locked in with you. I'm not like, ha, 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 you know, like not like laughing like what you're doing. So moving forward, let's completely cut that out. Let's go. See, you're still doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it now because I think you're kidding. This is how I get sales, man. They're always like, oh, man,
This ain't fucking real.
It doesn't. That's the thing. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want to do on the sales calls. Whatever's going to work. Like you can lie to the front. Do whatever you want to get the sale. Get
All right.
people more money.
All right, go. Yeah.
The reality.
So,
You need to listen to me.
y'all rather I just get super depressed and sad on these calls, looking like I hate my life? I don't want to look like not smiling, man. I don't want to hate my job. Yeah.
There's a difference between being depressed and being.
Dude, there ain't no way that was real. If you made it this far in the video, and I hope you have, first of all, thank you. Second of all, if you know if that's a real video, leave a comment and let me know. I'm going to hope that's like two dudes making content, making fun of corporate America culture. That's what I'm going to hope. I'm going to leave off with that hope, because if that's real, I really don't even have words to describe. It seems like some corporate America shit, but I hope it wasn't real. With that, I got to wrap it up. I'll just keep saying I hope it wasn't real for the next hour, because that's really, I'm in disbelief. So hope you enjoyed it. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Please like, please subscribe, come back. This is what we're doing, man. I'm talking about everything here. And how can we navigate through all of this BS, the FUD, the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt that they are throwing at us every day, man, every single day. We got to sift through it. We got to swim through it, or we got to straight up ignore it and keep on trucking, baby. That's all we got to do. So come back for it, and please like, please subscribe. Good to see you. I will see you tomorrow. All right. Peace.